Fit to Love, Season 2, Episode 3, What Are You Modeling for Others?
Hey, this is Johnny Dumas from EO Fire. Get ready to get physically, emotionally, and spiritually fit with LA's best personal trainer and empowerment strategist, JJ Flazanes.
Fit to Love is physical, emotional, and spiritual fitness to achieve the happy life you deserve. From exercise to cooking, relationships, and spirituality, you'll find all the inspiration you need right here with our host, JJ Flazanes.
Hello and welcome to Fit to Love Wellness Wednesdays. Today's show, what are you modeling for others? We have a very special guest with us today, nationally recognized as an expert in the field of fitness. Lisa Druxman is the creator of Fit for Mom. She's really known for her pre- and postnatal mompreneur information. She is a mom on a mission to raise healthy moms so that they can raise healthy kids in a healthy world. She's the author of Lean Mommy, creator of the Mama Wants Her Body Back DVDs, and the host of the Motivating Mom podcast. Welcome to the show, Lisa.
Thank you so much for having me, JJ.
I've known you for almost 15 years, I think.
It's crazy when I think back to how I first met you.
I know, and I was there for the beginning of your journey, and it's been amazing to watch how successful and how many lives you're changing and how you're growing and things I've learned from you. So I appreciate that you have given the Fit to Love podcast show your time to share with us some of those most important life lessons. So today's show, what are you modeling for others? Why don't you tell everyone who's listening a little bit about your journey, like mom, business, exercise, and wellness?
Well, JJ, like you, I've been in the fitness industry for a long time, probably over 20 years now. And when I became a mom 14 years ago, I decided to blend my passion for fitness with motherhood. And I started a class called Stroller Strides. So it's a stroller-based workout where moms work out with their kids. And really, I started it for purely selfish purposes. I knew nothing about motherhood and just wanted support. I needed a village. I needed someone to help me with nursing and sleeping and all that. And I figured I could help them get their body back. So long story short, I did start Stroller Strides in 2001. And it took off, and we ended up franchising the business. And as my own kids grew, so did the business. So we ended up adding Fit for Baby, which is our prenatal program. We added Body Back, which is our program for moms at any stage of motherhood, but it's just for moms, no kids in that one. And we've really, and you were here right at the beginning, evolved into a culture and a support and a village for moms. So the company is called Fit for Mom. And we are all about giving women the strength for motherhood.
I love it. And I loved being a part of that beginning. And again, learning from you, you've definitely been an inspiration for me. And so while I know that your focus is moms, I think the information is applicable to everybody. And especially this topic of what are you modeling for others? So we can talk about it in terms of mothers, if you'd like, because that's your focus and some of the things that you deal with on a day-to-day basis in your business. But everybody who's listening, I just want you to remember that I believe in that Fit to Love brand really is that we're all modeling for others every day. And so all this information, I believe, is definitely applicable to everybody.
I just say I totally concur, and I will do my best to generalize to everyone because these lessons are certainly great for everyone. And if I slip and say mom once in a while, just forgive me.
Oh, no worries. And I think that's why I just wanted to set that tone at the beginning of this interview so that any men that are listening can really even just say dads, right? Because dads
Absolutely.
are modeling for their children and everybody just the same. So what do you think is the first thing we need to pay attention to about, and how do we know what we're modeling?
Well, I really think that it all comes down to what you hear on that airplane. And we've heard this before and it's cliche, but you know, when the oxygen mask drops, they say to put your oxygen mask on first. And I think we all know intuitively we're supposed to do that, but we don't follow it. And so, you know, I think that it's important right from the start of your day and the start of your year to really think about how are you taking care of yourself so that you can better take care of others? Because you really are, you know, your energy, everything you do is contagious. And so it's really important that you're taking the best care of you so that you can then take care of whether it's your kids or your spouse or your friends.
On your journey, have you had to learn this differently?
Oh, absolutely. You know, it's a lot easier to preach it than to practice it. And so I continue to learn and grow, and I am a work in progress every single day. And my Motivating Mom podcast shares my own struggles and challenges with balancing work and life and motherhood. But I just believe so much in that we need to be a little bit more selfish, and that selfish isn't a bad thing. When we take care of our own spirit, our own physical body, it ends up being the source for everything else good in your life. And so it kills me when I hear people say, if you ask anyone, you say, "How are you?" And everybody says busy or crazy or overwhelmed. Like, that's not a badge of honor. So I want us to kind of start reframing that. And it's what I work on every single day. I mean, I'm a mom to two kids, one who's starting high school and one who's in elementary school. I run a national business, and I'm juggling as many balls as one can handle, but I am still practicing what I'm preaching now to you and making sure that I'm taking care of myself so that I can be my best self for everybody else.
When was the first moment that you recognized or became mindful of the fact that you needed to pay attention to what you were modeling?
Well, especially as a mom, and you'll see as kids get older that, they don't do anything you tell them to do, but they do everything they see you do. Right? So I might ask them to, eat healthy, and I might ask them to exercise, but that doesn't matter. They actually have to see moms do it. And over the last 14 years since I started Fit for Mom, I've had a chance to meet thousands of moms and spoken to hundreds of people who they'll complain about something for their kids, that their kids maybe have poor eating habits. I'll give you an example that I see very often, that moms will come to me and they're worried about their daughter's eating habits. And so I'll ask the mom for a food diary for herself. And she goes, "Oh, no, it's not me that I'm worried about. I'm worried about my daughter." And what happens is that once I take a look at their food diary, I see that the mom is doing some sort of shakes or a cleanse, or not eating with her kids because she's, got her own eating issues. And to me, that's the perfect example that they are learning from us, from what we do. So we really, really need to think about that we are their reflection. And so we have to live as we want our kids to live. And really, that's a gift. I mean, I'll ask parents, I won't just say moms, I'll ask parents, "Do you want your kids to exercise like you do?" And they say, "No, I want them to exercise more." "Do you want them to eat like you do?" And they say, "No, I want them to eat healthier." "Do you want them to be stressed like you are?" "No, I want them to stress less." And the questions can go on and on. The only way we can want better for them is to live that way. So while it's a huge responsibility, it's also an incredible gift. It's a gift to say that the more I take care of myself, the more I meditate in front of my kids, the more I exercise with my kids, the more it's going to have an impact on their life.
Absolutely. Energetically, we pass on, like people think people do genetically, like cell, it's you transfer DNA, you energetically transfer cellular level sort of emotions and beingness through your behavior. And I couldn't agree more on every point. And I'm so glad that you've kind of got your own database of research by asking all these moms and then looking back and seeing that it's the do as I say, not as I do model, right? Which a lot of us kind of were raised in and then rebelled against and said, "I don't want to be like that." So, and I also think it's an issue for parenting of coming from the space of, "I know better than you and you're going to do what I tell you to do," versus the more recent conscious parenting where there's sort of that synergy of the child is the reflection of what it is that you might need to work on, or a way for you to grow in order for you to be the better parent for the child and to really do what it is you say you want them to do. So I love that. Now, for you, was there a moment of anything that you saw? I know you said you told your children that you wanted them to exercise more, or was there any moment in time where it was like, okay, things have to change?
There have been many moments over the years. I can think about times that I've been really stressed and not taking care of myself. Some of the early years when you knew me, when we first started franchising the business, I was working around the clock and I was just focusing on my kids and I was focusing on the business, and that was it. And I was spread way too thin. And what I found was that my kids were absolutely reacting to that energy, and there was more chaos in the house. And I realized that I needed to get back to my own taking care of my spirit and soul. I have probably been the most consistently inconsistent meditator for 20 some odd years. And so I decided it was time for me to get back to meditating. And just 10 minutes a day. And so I call it a mom timeout. And so I don't consider a timeout to be a negative thing. I think it's a wonderful thing. Anybody can give me a timeout. And I started realizing that when I took that mom timeout on a daily basis and I started my day with meditation, that my day went better. I mean, it was almost magical. And I realized it's because it started with me as the source of the energy. I also noticed that when I meditated in front of my kids, see, it's really easy to do things not in front of people. So this is really taps more into being that model. I wake up early and I meditate, but they don't see me doing that. So yes, they get the benefit of my energy, but they don't get the benefit of seeing that this is a practice. So I started adding a nighttime meditation that I invited my kids to join. And we did some really fun ones like a rainbow meditation and stilling the candle. And at first they were, not so into it. But then we've had other times later where my daughter would say, hey, mommy, let's go do that rainbow breath. And so you realize that by sharing it with them, that they'll receive it. It's like a seed is planted. So maybe they don't get it right now, but they're seeing that these are the things that you do to be successful. And when they're ready, it hopefully becomes part of their life.
I love that. And what I love best about it that you just brought sort of to the forefront of my mind was that people need to see it more than just doing it on your own and knowing that you've done it. See, there are two things. When you mentioned about meditating in the morning and then your day would go better, this show, we've got 6 days a week of different kinds of content. And on our Freedom Friday show, we talk about spirituality. So to me, on a frequency, vibration, emotional, getting in the zone kind of level, when you intentionally set your day like that, or you take care of yourself in that way, that things do fall into alignment more easily because of that intention that you set, because of the time that you took to do that. But then when you mentioned doing it in front of your children, I think that this also translates to couples. It translates to friends. And it also speaks to, I think, the confidence level and the comfort level that we all have with being who we are and owning what it is that we want and saying, I'm going to do this because I need to take care of myself. And then because I could see that some people might have shame. Oh, I'm not going to show people that I'm eating like this, or I'm not going to show people that I do these spiritual things or these meditative things or these creative art projects because I have shame, right? But we transform that when we can acknowledge that by doing it in front of someone else, we invite them to consider it, we show them that we appreciate it, and then we allow them to grow into potentially wanting to do it too. So that's such a huge, important piece right there, is the showing somebody and inviting them to do it with you, and then being okay if they don't want to. But over time, that practice would definitely, I think, shift everything about any relationship if you're inviting someone to participate in something that you feel is important for everybody.
I mean, it ties so much into like your support group in terms of if you're wanting to make a change in your life for losing weight or exercising more or whatever habit that you're wanting to do. I think that success begets success, not only for yourself, but those that you surround yourself with. So if I want to make more money, I should hang out with people who are making more money. If I want to be with really healthy people or runners, I should hang out with that group. I should create my network, my village with people who are successful with it. And really that ties into being a model for others and realizing that what you're doing, how you're living, is an energy flow for everybody else around you.
Absolutely. And sometimes it takes a confidence, though, and a willingness and a vulnerability to ask for that, to create new groups, or to leave, or not necessarily leave a friendship, but to start new friendships with people who have more similar interests and desires, like you were saying. So I do want to acknowledge that, because I've done it, and I'm sure you've done it too. And I know that I'm sure that you teach this, because it is sometimes when you can acknowledge what you need and how you want to be, and to find others who are doing the same thing and maybe at a higher level than you, sometimes it means changing your environment. Mm-hmm. And that for a lot of people can be really hard. So I want to share with people the things that you teach moms that I know are going to be applicable to everybody. Some of the first steps that they could do to improve their modeling. But we'll do that. First, we do need to take a break and thank our sponsors.
Do you love listening to audiobooks?
Or do you think you'd read more if you could listen to them? Well, for you listeners, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. With over 150,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. To download your free audiobook today, go to fit2lovebook.com. That's FIT2LOVE book.com to get your free audiobook with your free 30-day trial to Audible. If you're unhappy with your trial and you don't want to continue, you get to cancel before the 30 days are over and keep your free audiobook. It is 100% risk-free. So go to fit2lovebook.com. That's FIT2LOVEBOOK.com to get your free audiobook today. Having a hard time losing weight even when you eat well and exercise? You may have weight loss resistance. The Metabolic Makeover audio program will uncover the 7 factors of weight loss resistance and guide you towards identifying what to do about it. Discover what common foods and toxins hinder fat from being released from the body and how you can naturally increase your metabolism. Let Dr. Alan Peters, Jeannie Peters, and I walk you through the steps of weight loss resistance so you can overcome it once and for all. Visit the products page on fit2love.tv to download it now. Okay, Lisa, so I'm listening to this and all of a sudden I'm having these awarenesses now that, oh my gosh, what am I modeling for others? And am I that person that's telling my friends or children or spouse to do something I am not doing myself? So now I'm aware. So thank you.
You're welcome.
And yes. And so, but now I'm a little overwhelmed and I'm feeling some fear and resistance to all of this. Would you have maybe a few steps that you think I would need to take to start to change and transform this?
Absolutely. I think first you need to be really, really honest with yourself. So much of who we think we want to be is who we think we should be. And so I want everyone to stop shooting on themselves. Be really, really honest with yourself about who you want to be. I hate to be on the dark side here, but I really think that for me, it very much starts at the end of your life and thinking about when you die, how do you want people to remember you? I had an experience when I was about 13 years old where I was held up at gunpoint. And I truly believed at that moment that I was going to die. And at 13 years old, I already had a life of regret. All the things that I wasn't going to get to do. And more than that, just who I wasn't, even at 13 years old. And so I was very lucky. I got a second chance. You know, there's not a lot of second chances. And so I realized I'm going to be very on purpose about who I am and honest about who I am and not about someone else, so that when my day comes, whenever that is, hopefully a very long time from now, I'm going to feel good about it. So it's not about, did you run a marathon and write a book or start a company or any of that kind of stuff. It's just really, who are you and what's your why? And to get clear on that. And I'd probably start thinking about the behaviors that I have on a daily basis and where am I in line? Where is there synergy with that why and who I am? But where is there a disconnect? I remember someone once told me that one of the best ways to get someone to start eating healthier or to start running or whatever, again, the goal is to not think about what you should do, but who you are. So I might say, well, I am going to eat healthy because I am a runner, you know, to attach to yourself that goal as part of who you are. And then that will hopefully also help you realize, you know, I don't want to eat that because I am a healthy person, and healthy people don't eat Kentucky Fried Chicken or whatever the case may be.
Right. Okay, good. So you're taking inventory and you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're being honest. And wow, the story of being 13, I don't know if it sounds like you've interpreted that in getting a second chance. I would also invite you to consider that possibly that was a gift, right? A gift to live your life on purpose and to not take for granted any day, any moment, and to direct your life in this way that so many people, I think, get to the end of their experience, look back at that current life and say, did I do what I wanted to do? Did I have any idea? Boy, I really wish I would have A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Oh, JJ, I could not agree with you more. That was a gift, and I would thank that person, believe it or not. And, sad that someone was in a position that they needed to do that. But at that point of my life, the reason why I had regret was I was living a life of can't. I was a kid who was not good in sports, not good in school, not good socially. And so I just labeled myself as not being able to, and I wouldn't try to do anything for fear of failure, for fear of embarrassment. And so after that situation, and I'm not going to say it happened at the, snap of my fingers, I realized I don't care if I fail. I don't care if I'm not as good. It might take me more work. But I now actually embrace any can't and feel like I can do anything. It just might take me a little bit more work. So I really do look at that moment as a turning point for my life.
Excellent. I do. I'm not envious in that I wish somebody would put a gun to me right now, but it is. I follow a lot of spiritual leaders who different books of like the 5 top regrets of the dying and right. And I have that foresight. I always have had, like, if someone told me in the fitness industry, we have some of the same educators, right, in the beginning of our lives. And so I remember one of the classes, someone saying, I have 11 injuries. Don't do what I did. And I was 25 at the time. And right, that's all I needed. And I said, okay, I won't do what you did because I don't want 11 injuries. And so I can see that. And then it changes my behavior. And I know for a lot of people, everyone's just sort of trugging along. It's not until something really bad happens that you stop and go, oh, I need to assess my life. So yeah, I'm glad that we both agree that that's partly a gift, right?
And I don't think anybody needs to have a gun to their head to get to that vision now, to say, if today were your last day, what would you regret? What would you regret not doing, but also who would you regret not being? And this is your time. This is your time.
Awesome. So we have the mirror. And is there another step after that assessment that you would recommend?
It's really, okay, I don't know that this will work for anybody. I can only share what works for me. But I'm a tracker. I believe that which gets tracked gets, or gets measured, gets done, or at least gets better. So I keep this little journal next to my computer where I am every morning, after I meditate. And I every month will write down what I'm working on. And I don't mean like a project. I mean like goals for myself personally, who I want to be, what are things that make me healthy. And for everybody, it's going to be different. I mean, and, sometimes it's tracking that I'm meditating. Sometimes it's tracking that I'm drinking enough water or eating enough vegetables. But sometimes it's tracking gratitude. And so whatever it is that you are aspiring to be or who you're aspiring to be, I make myself a daily checklist and I ask myself if I connected with that the day before, because I can't make a promise of what's going to happen that day. I can hope that I will do it. So I just check off what I've done. And so I really make the goal to touch on these things until they become a habit. And then I can move on to the next thing that I want to work on. I'm a firm believer that if we try to do too much, too hard, too fast, we end up doing nothing. And like in the fitness world is how you end up getting hurt. So I usually pick 3 MITs, what I call most important things. What are my 3 MITs for the month? I will track working on those daily. And if I didn't accomplish them or did not turn them into a habit, it might be 6 months that I keep tracking that and keep working on it. Looking at my journal would seem crazy to anybody else. Everyone has to tie into what's important to them right now.
Awesome. So now, Lisa, how can people learn more about you and find out more information, especially if they're a mom or if they know someone who would benefit from your information? Tell us a little bit more about where we can find more about you.
Well, certainly if you are a mom, I hope you go to our website, which is fit4mom.com, fit4mom.com. And on there, you can find all of our Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest and Instagram. I'm pretty easy to find, Lisa Druxman, and there's even lisadruxman.com. So I certainly would love any moms out there to listen to the Motivating Mom podcast after they've listened to Fit to Love, of course. And it is my goal to give women the strength for motherhood. And personally, beyond just motherhood, I want to inspire others to love the life they're living. I think our life is a gift. And so if I can lend a little inspiration there, then I hope I can be a part of that.
Well, that's excellent advice for anyone. And I thank you so much for your wisdom and your vulnerability and your willingness to share your story with the Fit to Love community.
Thanks for having me, JJ.
Are you single and looking for love? Are you in a stale and passionless relationship that needs a reboot? I am giving away free copies of Fit to Love, How to Get Physically, Emotionally, and Spiritually Fit to Attract the Love of Your Life when you subscribe to this podcast. Visit fittolove.tv/ebook to download your copy today. Today's show was brought to you by audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at fittolovebook.com. With over 150,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player, it is 100% risk-free. That's fittolovebook.com, FIT2LOVEBOOK.com. The Fit to Love podcast show offers you 6 days a week of helpful content to achieve the happy life you deserve. Movement Mondays and Tasty Tuesdays are weekly videocasts, while Wellness Wednesdays, Thoughtful Thursdays, Freedom Fridays, and Sexy Saturdays are audio-only shows themed every week to address your holistic life and needs. If the show inspired you, we would love for you to share it and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining us today. Head on over to fittolove.tv for recaps of every show, resources, and to join the community. That's FIT2LOVE.tv. Have a fit and fabulous day.